Now, to anyone that has played Library of Ruina, there were these pages called on-play pages that allowed you to perform an action without having to use up one of your slots for the turn. They were very marvelous, they had very good effects for what they did. What Ruina did wrong is that because of the amount of pages that it had and things to do, every turn would take minutes on end just to get everything set up. But now we have the opposite problem. The lack of options in Limbus is it's a problem because you don't get enough things to do. For example, they made Wild Hunt Heathcliff have this. It's a counter with an ability that activates when you slot it in on turn end, on combat start as well. We can see it here. It has combat start and you gain Dullahan. And you have to slot it in. It's, you know, you have another option apart from just choosing one of the two slits that you have in, one of the two skills that you have in a slot. And they did it well with him, because I mean, they did it well, but it's also a problem because it's better than his S1. By using this and replacing an S1, you don't lose anything. You roll higher by default, and you gain an ability for the next turn. You activate something. For people like her, if I go here, in order to use borrowed time, I have to replace one of my skills, one of my offensive skills, with a block, with a guard, which allows me to get hits, does not evade the attack. I can get inflicted with negative effects, and I don't deal any damage. The only thing is that I activate this, and I guess I inflict tremor, but only if I get hit, and usually you don't want to get hit, which is what he does well, and why the reason he's so powerful in the first place. The problem lies in the fact that, say that you're playing single slotted, all of your characters are single slotted, and you want to activate this borrowed time state for the next turn. What if this was this? What if your skill 3 was on this slot? By replacing it with a guard and playing the turn, that skill disappears. So, say you want to deal a lot of damage next turn, and your skill 3 is in that slot, you just lost a lot of damage potential because, you know, it went away. If I place a guard here, and I play out the turn, you'll see that skill 3 will be gone on the next turn. So for abilities like that, it's just not a good idea to do that in the first place. You can see that he points. So, yes, it's a trade-off, some might call it. You know, some might justify it with saying that you trade off one turn to get powerful on the next. But this isn't good. This isn't a good implementation. You lose something by using this. It's very hard to justify the use of this, especially when Project Moon has decided to focus on single slotted battles where everyone only has one slot. If it happens to be like a skill 2, like this is quite powerful, or a skill 3, it goes away on the next turn. You don't get, even if you get +1 choice on having the choice of using this skill to gain an effect, to trigger an ability, you don't actually get to use it all the time, or you are very disadvantaged if you use it at the wrong time. It's just not it's not a good implementation. So I suppose let's focus on on-play pages instead. They are a button that you press and it activates the ability, and you don't spend time, you don't spend your turn economy activating it. You spend light in Ruina, but that's besides the point. Let me propose something. I have devised an alternative to that issue. It is shown right here. Now, this description is obviously just for show. It shouldn't say this. But after a bit of modding, I found a way to make this work. Once per encounter, or maybe you want to add some other kind of conditional, it doesn't matter, you can make anything you want. Once per encounter, you can use this ability without having to use the guard, by doing this. Now, that was very unceremonious, and it broke the idle animations. They'll be fixed for next turn. Like, he's already fixed, but she's like stuck in that position. That was very unceremonious, but it does work. So, you play out your turn, and there you have it. You get all the abilities, like you wouldn't, it's the same amount you would normally get by using this. But you don't have to use a turn. And it's once per encounter, you can choose any other conditional you want. But it is a good alternative to having to spend a skill slot doing this. It works perfectly, apart from that. The idle animations, yeah, they're fixed now. If I were to click this again, it broke. Yeah, it like, you can see how it, I still need to fix that. I haven't figured out the mess that is Project Moon's code, but you can do a lot of things with this. Say you have a charge identity and you want to activate or give yourself buffs through charge usage. Or say you want a she identity that you can click on here by holding control and spend HP to gain things. And you can do it over and over again. Or maybe, I don't know, you can spend a resource to gain shield or gain other buffs. It really is the limit. The sky's the limit. I'll eventually try to find a way to make it so you can control-click skills as well, and activate abilities within skills, or switch skills out for other skills. But that's for future me. I don't really know how to deal with the entire mess that is the Limbus combat system code, but for now, this is good enough. I had also thought of abilities like allowing her to slot in an invisible guard without having to use a guard. So it would play out in combat as if you had used a guard. And she would defend when an unopposed attack targets her. But yeah, it's just possibilities of what you can do. You could choose to, for him, he has this passive, but you could choose to manually instead use his active ability to spend SP and regenerate HP on the turn itself, on the chaining phase itself. You could choose to have her give buffs to allies through some resource management, I don't know, maybe spend sense, maybe give herself debuffs but give allies buffs. The sky's the limit, as I said. You can choose to have things like that. Things on play pages. Think on play pages from Ruina. You do things without spending a turn doing it. You activate things, and you spend the resource to do it. A really funny one I thought of is multi-crack identities already spend HP to generate charge, so maybe through activating the passive ability you can spend a bit of HP to generate charge yourself on the chaining phase. You know, it would actually fit with their kit too. You know, I'm actually going to implement that. You see it here live, me finding a good thing to do with an identity that would be fun. Generate charge by spending HP on the chaining phase. And you can choose to do it at any time in case you ever need more charge. And I can keep this ratio of HP to charge. So it would be essentially the same as this skill, but you'd be able to remove this, take it out, and just do it manually instead. And this skill would be just this section, and this entire gimmick would remain as a passive that you can activate yourself. Same for Heathcliff, in that case, where you see, yeah, you remove this part, and you add it as a passive ability. Very good stuff. I'll implement it and see how it works. So I went and implemented it onto Heathcliff. This part is gone. And here is, I settled on the name active ability for these kinds of abilities. I'll see if I can maybe generate a button here or a button here, so you can, you know, see it. But honestly, it's a bit complicated, and I don't know how to do that. I'll get back to you on that one. Point is, let me just read it slowly. Lose 2 HP, lose 2% HP, gain 1 charge count. So you come here, and you lose HP, and you gain charge. And you can do this infinitely. Maybe you'd want to make it not infinite. I don't know, that's up to game balance. I'll think about it later. But point is, I go here, it works properly. I almost lose the clash. Ta-da. And I get staggered. Right now, there isn't really any indication that the ability worked. Like, you just gain the charge and nothing shows up. And you take damage and also nothing shows up. That's being worked on. I'm just going to say that. I don't know how exactly I would fix it. I'll have to look into it. But yeah, that's all I wanted to show for today. I'll come back with updates on this. Maybe more functions, more ways. Maybe spend resources on this side to activate abilities. We'll see what we make of it. As for Honlu, I showed him on the first video and on the second video, the first 2 mod showcases. Here I updated him. I just gave him +1 base power and the skill 3. That's all I did. And this passive I've never shown on camera, but it's been there from the start. It's Funkon training. He gains bleed resistance, just passively. And when he has bleed, he loses, his stagger threshold goes down. It's very good, very useful against any bleed inflicting enemy. In any case, see you on the next mod showcase, and I guess enjoy the rest of this 3-wave battle. Have fun.
내가 먼저다. 내가 먼저다. 시작.
설마 벌써 죽었냐?
괴로우신가요? 사냥 시작.
야, 설마 벌써 죽었냐?
사냥 시작.
비켜! 내가 먼저다!
괴로우신가요? 괴로우신가요? 사냥 시작.